Emmerdale has generated more than 100 complaints following the controversial storyline involving Dr Todd and Charity Dingle. In unsettling scenes shown on Sunday, Todd sexually assaulted Charity while she was asleep on the couch. The incident forms part of the ongoing blackmail plot, with Todd recently threatening to expose the truth about baby Layla's paternity to the entire village. The assault is expected to leave a lasting emotional impact on Charity and shape her future storyline in significant ways. Media regulator Ofcom has confirmed that 121 complaints were submitted regarding Sunday's episode, although this does not automatically mean a formal investigation will take place. While a number of viewers raised concerns through the complaints process, the soap has long been known for tackling difficult and sensitive subjects. The storyline had been publicly announced before the episode aired, allowing viewers to choose whether or not to watch. ITV also broadcast content warnings before the scenes were shown. Discussing the challenging plot, the actress who portrays Charity described it as one of the most emotionally intense and important storylines she has undertaken on the show. She explained that although Charity is often seen as strong and determined, the experience exposes a painful vulnerability that has been deeply emotional to portray. She expressed hope that the storyline might encourage survivors to speak out or help others better understand the lasting effects of trauma. The program's producer stated that the story will examine the consequences of sexual violence and highlight how trauma can affect a survivor when the offender is another woman. The storyline aims to explore the emotional and psychological complexities of such an experience. She further noted that female-on-female sexual assault is rarely discussed publicly, and the show will address the isolation many survivors feel. It will also examine how some victims believe the legal term sexual assault does not fully reflect the severity of what they have endured. Despite the difficult subject matter, the storyline will focus on Charity's strength and determination as she works through the aftermath of the attack and begins the process of healing. Charity Dingle is enduring one of the most difficult periods of her life in Emmerdale, yet she refuses to reveal the truth to her loved ones. With the threat of Dr Todd hanging over her, she feels trapped and unable to open up about what she is going through. For months, Todd has made life miserable for Jacob Gallagher through a campaign of intimidation and bullying at the hospital. However, her attention has recently shifted toward Charity. Todd uncovered a devastating secret that Charity had desperately hoped would never come to light. The baby she carried as a surrogate for Sarah Sugden and Jacob was not conceived through their arrangement at all, but was actually the result of a one-night encounter with Ross Barton. If the truth were exposed, it would tear Charity's family apart and could completely destroy her marriage to Mackenzie Boyd. Recognizing how determined Charity was to keep the secret hidden, Todd exploited the situation for her own gain. She began blackmailing Charity, demanding increasingly large sums of money that eventually reached £100,000. As Sarah's 21st birthday approached, Charity became frantic, desperate to stop Todd from revealing everything during the celebrations. Her first plan involved persuading Kim Tate to purchase her share of the Woolpack, hoping to raise enough money to silence Todd. Unfortunately, that opportunity collapsed when Kim backed out of the arrangement. With no other options left, Charity turned to a familiar Dingle tactic and resorted to criminal activity. Alongside a reluctant Chaz Dingle, she broke into Home Farm and stole money from the safe in an attempt to satisfy Todd's demands. Their scheme nearly failed when Lydia Dingle discovered what they had done. Fortunately for them, Lydia chose not to report the theft to Kim. Although Chaz believed Sarah deserved to know the truth, Charity continued searching for ways to raise cash. She secretly took keys from Noah Dingle and became involved in a plan to rob the depot. Soon afterwards, Charity and Chas learned that Billy Fletcher had noticed missing items and alerted Caleb Milligan. Despite the growing risks, Charity managed to secure £30,000 from the robbery and handed the money over to Todd. The payment, however, was far from enough. Todd warned that unless the remaining balance was delivered, she would expose the secret at Sarah's birthday celebration. Struggling with overwhelming guilt and turning increasingly to alcohol, Charity eventually challenged Todd during the birthday event. She called her bluff and dared her to reveal everything. Unable to publicly devastate Sarah, Todd backed down and attempted to justify her actions, even admitting that she enjoyed the chaos surrounding Charity's life. For a brief moment, it appeared the secret was finally safe. That sense of relief did not last long. Todd soon revealed the full extent of her cruelty, and Charity became the victim of a sexual assault. In upcoming episodes, Charity will attempt to conceal the traumatic experience from those closest to her. Rather than tell the truth, she falsely claims to be suffering from a serious mental health condition. When Manpreet Sharma visits to check on her well-being, Charity feels unable to confide in her. Knowing that Manpreet is close friends with Todd, she instead lies and says that her emotional struggles are the result of postnatal depression. Believing Charity's explanation, Manpreet prescribes medication before leaving, unaware that Charity is suffering in silence and carrying yet another painful secret. Later, Mackenzie returns home and reveals that he has informed Sarah about Charity's difficulties. Once left alone, Charity's distress becomes clear as she takes sleeping tablets while drinking wine. The following day, Sarah is consumed by guilt. Convinced that Charity's supposed postnatal depression stems from acting as her surrogate, she blames herself for her grandmother's suffering. Her concern grows further when Charity hints that there is more happening than she has admitted. Despite Sarah's attempts to understand what is really wrong, Charity cannot bring herself to reveal the truth. Instead, she continues to blame her condition on exhaustion and postnatal depression. Mackenzie later comforts a devastated Sarah as she breaks down in tears, believing the surrogacy arrangement has caused all of Charity's emotional turmoil. As the storyline progresses, Charity finds it increasingly difficult to cope with the aftermath of the assault. Feeling isolated and unable to trust those around her, she keeps her pain bottled up while trying to process the trauma alone. Speaking about the storyline, Emmerdale's producer explained that the plot will examine the impact of sexual violence and the unique challenges faced by survivors when the perpetrator is another woman. The story aims to highlight feelings of isolation and explore how many victims feel that legal terminology does not always reflect the severity of their experience. Although the storyline contains difficult and emotional scenes, it will ultimately focus on Charity's strength and determination as she confronts what has happened and begins her journey toward recovery. The actress who portrays Charity described the storyline as one of the most challenging and emotionally demanding of her career on the soap. She explained that while Charity is usually viewed as a strong and resilient character, the ordeal reveals a vulnerability rarely seen before. She also expressed hope that the story might encourage survivors to speak out and help viewers gain a greater understanding of the lasting effects of trauma. Emmerdale is broadcast on ITV1 every weekday at 8 p.m. and is also available to stream on ITVX.